Chapter 1. Miss Polly. Miss Polly Harrington came quickly into her kitchen that June morning.
"Nancy, please stop your work for a minute and listen to me,"
she said. Nancy stopped at once. Miss Polly wasn't easy to please. Usually she wanted Nancy to work more quickly. Nancy's father was dead, her mother was ill, and she had 2 younger sisters and a brother at home, so she came to work for Miss Harrington, one of the richest women in town. But Miss Polly was always angry when she did things badly, and never smiled when she did them right.
"Later today,"
said Miss Polly,
"you can make the little back attic ready for a visitor. My niece, Miss Pollyanna Whittier, is coming to stay. She's 11 years old."
"Is a little girl coming here? That's nice,"
cried Nancy. She thought of her 2 happy little sisters at home.
"Nice,"
said Miss Polly coldly.
"I don't know about that."
Nancy's face was suddenly hot and red.
"But she's your sister's child, miss. Of course you want her here."
"Nancy, my silly sister married young, had children early, and couldn't care for them. I don't want to care for this child, but I must. Now don't forget that attic."
And with that, she left the kitchen. Back in her room, Miss Polly opened the letter from a far-away town in the West and read it again.
Miss Harrington, I have sad news for you. Your sister's husband, John Whittier, died 2 weeks ago. He leaves a girl, 11 years old, behind him. John was the minister in the church here and wasn't very rich. His child has nobody to care for her now. Only you, her family in the East. John spoke of this before he died. Can you take her? We can put Pollyanna on the train to come to you. When I get your answer, and please say yes, I can write and tell you the day and time of the train. Jeremiah O. White.
Miss Polly sat with the letter in her hand and thought of her sister Jenny, the girl's mother. When Jenny was 20, a rich older man from the town wanted to marry her. But she wasn't interested in him or his money. She wanted to marry young John Whittier for love. Her parents weren't happy about it, but she didn't listen to them. She married, left home, and went west with her new husband. Miss Polly remembered it well. She was only 15, the youngest at the time. Her parents wanted nothing more to do with Jenny. Of course, Jenny wrote for a time. Her letters told them about her different children, but they all died when they were very young. Only the last child lived. Jenny gave her the name Pollyanna, after her 2 sisters, Polly and Anna. That was their last news from her. Some years later, a letter came for them from a small town in the West. It was from John Whittier and brought sad news. Jenny was dead. Miss Polly thought about the past 25 years. She was 40 years old. Her father, mother, and sisters were all dead. The big family house and all her father's money were now in her name. Some people said to her, "Why don't you live with a friend?" But she didn't want a friend in the house. She liked living quietly. And now, Miss Polly stood up. She was happy, of course, to do the right thing and to take the girl into her home. But Pollyanna, what a silly name! Later that morning, Nancy made the back attic ready.
Why is she putting the child here when she has lots of nicer rooms in the house to give her?
She thought. That afternoon, she went out into the garden to speak to old Tom. He worked for Miss Polly there.
Mr. Tom, a little girl's coming to live here,
she said.
Not with Miss Polly,
laughed Tom.
Yes, she told me earlier today,
answered Nancy.
It's her niece. She's 11 years old.
That's Miss Jenny's little girl, then,
the old man said.
And now she's coming to stay. That's wonderful.
She's going to sleep in the attic,
said Nancy.
For me, that's not right.
Old Tom didn't look happy at this, but then he gave a big smile.
Say, what's Miss Polly going to do with a child in the house?
He said.
More important, what's a child going to do with Miss Polly in the house? Answered
Nancy. The old man laughed.
You don't like Miss Polly,
he said.
Nobody does,
answered Nancy.
Ah, but you didn't know her when she was in love.
In love?
Cried Nancy.
Nobody loved her back, of course.
Oh, yes, they did,
said old Tom.
And the man's living here in the town today.
Who is he?
It's not right to tell you,
he said, and he looked up at the house. He was a true friend to the Harrington family. You could see it in his old blue eyes.
So Miss Polly had a lover. I can't believe it,
said Nancy.
Well, when she was younger, she was beautiful. And she can be again,
said old Tom.
Beautiful! Miss Polly!
Yes. She needs to wear hats with flowers on them, to have her hair different, and to wear nice dresses again. Miss Polly's not old, Nancy.
Well, she's never happy,
said Nancy.
And one of these days I'm going to leave. Goodbye, Nancy.
It's not easy for you, I know,
said old Tom.
But don't leave.
And with that, he went back to his work.
Nancy!
Called a cold voice from the house.
Yes, miss,
cried Nancy, and she ran in at once. Some days later, Miss Polly told Nancy,
My niece is arriving by train tomorrow at 4. You can go with Timothy in the buggy and meet her. The letter says fair hair, red dress, and a summer hat. You can find her with that, I'm sure.
The next afternoon, Nancy and Timothy, old Tom's son, went to meet the train.
Is she a good, quiet child, do you think?
Asked Nancy.
Who knows?
Smiled Timothy.
But a bad, noisy child isn't going to make things easy at the house for any of us. You can be sure of that.
When the train arrived, a little girl with long, fair hair, a red dress, and a summer hat got off. It was Pollyanna. Chapter 2. The Glad Game. Soon Pollyanna was in the buggy between Timothy and Nancy, and they were on the road to Miss Polly's house.
I didn't have a black dress to wear,
said Pollyanna.
But it's easier to be glad in red than black, I guess.
Glad?
Cried Nancy.
Yes, because now Father's with Mother and my dead brothers and sisters. Father said that before he died. And of course, I'm glad too, because I have you, Aunt Polly.
Me? But I'm Nancy. I work for Miss Polly.
Oh, I see,
answered Pollyanna.
So, she didn't come to meet me. Well, I'm glad about that, because now I have you, and I'm going to meet her soon, too.
Miss Polly was in the front room when they arrived.
Hello, Pollyanna,
she said without a smile. Pollyanna ran and took the older woman in her arms.
I'm very glad to meet you, Aunt Polly. Now, about my red dress. Father said...
Let's not talk about your father, child. Your bag.
There isn't much in it. Only Father's books and...
Pollyanna, I don't want to hear about your father. Do you understand?
Yes, Aunt Polly,
said the girl sadly.
Your bag's in your room,
Aunt Polly finished.
Timothy took it up, so come with me.
Pollyanna went upstairs after her aunt. There were lots of beautiful pictures to left and right, wonderful rooms, and a nice green carpet under her feet. But when they went into her room, it had no pictures or carpet in it, only a bed, a chair, a window, a table, and a closet.
Here we are,
said Miss Polly.
Nancy can help you put your things away. Supper's at 6 o'clock.
And with that, she went downstairs. When Nancy came up, she found Pollyanna with her hands over her face. Sadly, the girl opened her bag, and Nancy took some old dresses and books from it and put them away. At the same time, Pollyanna looked through the window.
Oh, Nancy, I don't need pictures when I can see houses, trees, and the river through this,
she said. Just then, they heard a bell downstairs.
I must go now,
said Nancy, and she went down to help with the supper. Pollyanna soon felt hot in her room, and she opened the window. Then, with a laugh, she climbed out through the window, down the tree in front of it, and into the garden. From there, she ran to a little hill not far away. Old Tom was in the garden, and he saw her go. Soon she was up the hill, and she didn't hear the supper bell at 6 o'clock.
My niece is late,
said Miss Polly to Nancy at the supper table.
She can have bread and milk in the kitchen.
After supper, Nancy went upstairs, but Pollyanna wasn't in her room. So Nancy went out into the garden.
Pollyanna is up the hill over there,
said old Tom. Nancy went at once and brought the girl in.
How did you get out there?
Nancy asked. Pollyanna told her.
Well, you were late for supper, so you must have bread and milk with me in the kitchen tonight, your aunt says.
Oh, I'm glad,
smiled Pollyanna.
I like bread and milk, and I'd like to have supper with you, too.
How can you be glad about everything?
Well, it's the glad game, you know. My father taught it to me. You must always find the good in everything and be glad about it. It isn't always easy.
Before bed, Miss Polly spoke to her niece.
I'm sorry about supper tonight, Pollyanna, but you must learn to be on time.
Oh, don't feel bad, Aunt Polly,
said Pollyanna.
I was glad to have bread and milk in the kitchen with Nancy.
The next afternoon, Miss Polly took Pollyanna into town.
We must get you some new clothes,
she said.
New clothes?
Cried Pollyanna.
You're very good to me.
I don't know about good,
answered Miss Polly.
With you in old clothes, people are going to think badly of me. I don't want that.
Of course not,
said Pollyanna.
And you are good, Aunt Polly. But you don't feel glad about it. Why not? I'm always glad when I do something good.
Be quiet, child,
said Miss Polly.
Or we're going home this minute.
Pollyanna stopped talking at once. That evening, it was very hot again in Pollyanna's room, and she couldn't sleep. So she got out of bed and went to the back attic room. She opened the window there and climbed out onto the roof of Miss Polly's room.
I can sleep here,
she thought. But Miss Polly heard noises in the night and called Timothy on the telephone.
"Come quickly! There's someone on my roof!"
she cried. When Timothy came, he found Pollyanna out on the roof and took her in.
"What were you doing on my roof, girl?"
asked Miss Polly angrily.
"Oh, Aunt Polly, I wanted to sleep out under the night sky," began
Pollyanna.
"Well, now you must sleep in bed with me tonight, Pollyanna, because I don't want this to happen again."
"Oh, thank you,"
cried Pollyanna.
"What a wonderful thing to sleep in my aunt's bed."
Miss Polly couldn't speak. Why, when she wanted to punish her niece, was the girl always glad? Chapter 3. New Friends. The weeks went by, and Pollyanna felt happy in her new home. But it wasn't easy to talk to Miss Polly. Nancy was Pollyanna's only friend, and she always had work to do. So Pollyanna wanted to go out and meet people. Mrs. Snow lived not far away. She was a very sick woman and never left her bed. Miss Polly usually sent Nancy to her house on Thursday afternoons with something for her to eat, chicken, soup, or jelly.
"Can I go today?"
Pollyanna asked Nancy one Thursday.
Mrs. Snow's never happy,
said Nancy.
When she gets chicken, she wants soup. When it's soup, she wants jelly. You don't want to go.
"Yes, I do."
So Pollyanna went to Mrs. Snow's house that afternoon. Miss Snow, a tired young woman, took the girl to her mother and left her there in the dark room.
"Here's some jelly from Aunt Polly,"
said Pollyanna.
"I wanted soup today,"
said Mrs. Snow from the bed.
"That's strange,"
cried Pollyanna.
"Usually, you want chicken when you get jelly, and soup when it's chicken. Nancy told me."
Mrs. Snow sat up.
"What a thing to say!"
she cried.
"Who are you?"
"I'm Miss Polly's niece. I live with her now, and I'm here with your jelly."
"I'm not hungry. I didn't sleep at all last night,"
said Mrs. Snow.
"That's wonderful,"
said Pollyanna.
"We lose lots of time when we sleep. I'd like not to sleep at night, too."
"What's that?" "Open the curtains. I want to see you,"
said Mrs. Snow. So Pollyanna opened the curtains.
"You're beautiful,"
cried Pollyanna when she saw Mrs. Snow in the sun.
"I love your dark eyes and hair."
That afternoon, Pollyanna did Mrs. Snow's hair and put a pink flower in it. Miss Snow had a surprise when she came in after Pollyanna left.
Mother, the curtains,
she cried.
"I wanted them open,"
said Mrs. Snow.
"And why do people bring me only things to eat? I'd like something nice to wear sometimes, too."
In September, after a long summer, Pollyanna started school. On her first morning, she met a man in the street. He wore a tall black hat and a long black coat, and he didn't smile.
"It's a nice day,"
said Pollyanna.
"Are you talking to me?"
he said angrily. He didn't stop. The next day, when Pollyanna saw him, he had an umbrella.
"I don't like it when it rains,"
she said.
"But it doesn't rain every day. I'm glad about that."
The man said nothing.
"Did he hear me?"
she thought. The day after, when they next met, the sun was in the sky. Pollyanna said,
"It's a nicer day than yesterday,"
"Who are you?"
said the man angrily.
And why do you always tell me about the weather? I have more important things to think about.
I'm telling you because you don't have time to look at the sky. I'm Pollyanna Whittier. Who are you?
Why, of all the...
began the man. Then he walked away. The next time Pollyanna met him, he said,
Good afternoon. And before you speak, can I say something? It's a beautiful day, and I know it.
Yes, I saw it in your smile before you spoke,
said Pollyanna.
Did you?
Answered the man. Nancy had a surprise when she went for a walk with Pollyanna, and the man said,
Good afternoon.
To them.
He spoke to you,
Nancy cried.
Yes, he always does. Now,
answered Pollyanna.
But that's John Pendleton. He lives alone in a house on Pendleton Hill. He never speaks to people. My friend Sally works at the hotel in town, and he never talks when he eats there. He never eats expensively, of course.
It isn't easy without money,
said Pollyanna.
He's the richest man in town,
answered Nancy.
But he doesn't like giving his money away. He's strange.
Maybe he's strange when you don't know him,
said Pollyanna.
But I like him.
At about that time, Pollyanna found a little cat in the street and took it home. After that, she found a little dog and took that home, too. Miss Polly didn't like animals, but it wasn't easy to say no to Pollyanna. So Fluffy the cat and Buffy the dog stayed. October came, and one day Pollyanna met a boy in the street near her house. He was thin and in old clothes.
Who are you?
asked Pollyanna.
And what are you doing here?
I'm Jimmy Bean. I left the orphans' home this morning. I want to find a real home with real folks, see?
It wasn't easy to lose your mother and father, Pollyanna knew. So she took Jimmy home.
Aunt Polly, can Jimmy Bean live with us?
She asked. But Aunt Polly said,
No.
And Jimmy left the house sadly. Pollyanna ran after him.
Don't worry. I'm going to find you a real home,
she told him in the street.
Maybe the church can help. Let's see.
So Jimmy went back to the orphans' home that night, and Aunt Polly felt bad. The next day, she told Nancy,
Please move Pollyanna's things down from the attic into the bedroom under it.
Chapter 4. Things Go Wrong. When Nancy told Pollyanna about her new bedroom, she ran at once to her aunt.
It's beautiful,
she cried.
With its pictures, carpet, and curtains. Thank you, Aunt Polly. I'm really glad.
Pollyanna, please stop being glad about everything. I'm tired of it. You always say it. Why?
It comes from our game. Father,
Pollyanna began and then stopped. Aunt Polly didn't like to hear about her father, so she said nothing more about it. After dinner that day, Miss Polly phoned the minister's wife.
I'm sorry, but I can't come to the charity meeting at the church this afternoon. I have a bad head.
When Miss Polly went to her room, Pollyanna went out.
Good afternoon, ladies. I'm Pollyanna Whittier,
she said when she went into the church meeting.
Did your aunt send you?
Asked the minister's wife.
No, it was my idea,
said Pollyanna.
I want to help Jimmy Bean, a boy from the orphans' home. He's 10 years old, and he wants real folks and a real home. Can one of you ladies take him into your house?
The ladies talked a lot, but not one wanted to take Jimmy. In the end, Pollyanna left the church sadly. She didn't go home, but walked far into Pendleton Woods. There she found Mr. John Pendleton on the ground.
What's the matter?
She asked.
I fell from those rocks up there and broke my leg.
He said.
I can't move.
Then he took a key from his coat and gave it to her.
Here's the key to my house. It's not far past those trees. Go there, open the front door, and go in. By the door, there's a telephone and a telephone book. Find Dr. Thomas Chilton's number and phone him. Tell him about my accident near Pendleton Hill Rocks. Then wait there for him to arrive and bring him here.
Pollyanna went off with the key and was soon back.
Did you get in?
Mr. Pendleton asked.
Yes, and I phoned, and Dr. Chilton's coming, but I wanted to stay with you.
When Dr. Chilton came, he smiled at Pollyanna.
Thank you, young lady, for your help.
Then he looked carefully at Mr. Pendleton's leg. That evening, Pollyanna arrived late for supper. Nancy met her at the door.
Your aunt isn't here. She went to Boston suddenly to visit a sick friend. And I'm glad.
Nancy!
Cried Pollyanna.
It's okay. I'm playing the glad game.
Laughed Nancy. Then Pollyanna told Nancy about John Pendleton's accident, and she listened with an open mouth. The next day, Pollyanna told Jimmy Bean about the ladies' charity meeting.
I'm sorry,
she said.
They were more interested in their charity work in India than in you. It's because India's far away, I guess.
Then she had an idea.
I know. I can write to the ladies from my father's old church out west. Maybe they'd like to help you because you're far away.
Okay,
said Jimmy, and he went back to the orphan's home again that night. 3 days later, after her friend in Boston died, Miss Polly came back home.
Can I take Mrs. Snow's jelly to someone different today?
Asked Pollyanna that Thursday.
He broke his leg, and he needs the jelly more than Mrs. Snow at the moment.
And Pollyanna told her aunt all about John Pendleton's accident.
John Pendleton?
Cried Miss Polly.
Do you know him?
Yes,
said Pollyanna.
So, can I take him the jelly?
Very well,
said her aunt.
But I didn't send you. You must be careful not to say that.
Pollyanna found Dr. Chilton at John Pendleton's house.
Come in,
the doctor said, and Pollyanna went into Mr. Pendleton's room.
Why are you here?
Cried the man in bed angrily.
I brought you some jelly,
said Pollyanna.
Nancy made it. She works for Aunt Polly.
Aunt Polly?
Miss Polly Harrington. I live with her.
With her?
He said. His face was suddenly white.
Yes, my mother was her sister. When Father died, they sent me to her.
Did Miss Polly send that jelly for me?
Oh, no. I must be careful not to say that. She told me.
I see,
said Mr. Pendleton, and he looked at Pollyanna very strangely. Dr. Chilton took her home in his buggy soon after that. A week after Pollyanna's visit to Mr. Pendleton's house, Miss Polly went to a ladies' charity meeting at the church. When she came home, her face was pink and her hair was dark from the rain.
Why did you go to them about that orphan boy, Pollyanna?
She asked her niece.
It was very bad of you.
Pollyanna didn't listen.
Your hair's beautiful today, Aunt Polly,
she said. She took her aunt up to her room, did her hair, and put a red flower in it. And Miss Polly couldn't stop her, couldn't punish her. Then, suddenly, through the window, they saw Dr. Chilton's buggy in the street, with the doctor in it. Pollyanna opened the window and called out to him.
Dr. Chilton, did you want me? I'm up here.
Miss Polly ran from the window at once.
What's the matter?
Pollyanna called after her.
Why did you do that? It's not right for folks to see me with a silly flower in my hair,
cried her aunt. Chapter 5. Someone Very Important. Pollyanna left her aunt upstairs and ran out to Dr. Chilton.
What is it?
She asked.
Mr. Pendleton wants you. So after the rain stopped, I drove over here. Can you come?
I must ask my aunt.
She came back nearly at once.
Well?
Asked the doctor.
I can go,
Pollyanna answered.
But Aunt Polly spoke very strangely to me. She said, "Yes, go. Why didn't you leave before?"
Was your aunt upstairs at the window with you when I arrived?
Asked the doctor.
Yes. Did you see her? She was beautiful, I thought. What did you think?
The doctor looked at Pollyanna, smiled sadly, and said,
Yes. For me, she was beautiful too.
Oh, I must tell her.
Pollyanna, please don't.
Why not? It's a nice thing to say.
But maybe Miss Polly doesn't want to hear it from me.
Maybe you're right. Dr. Warren's her doctor after all. And she ran from the window when she saw you here.
And with that, they went to Mr. Pendleton's house. Mr. Pendleton was very happy to see her.
Do you have more jelly for me, not from Aunt Polly?
He laughed. Pollyanna's face was suddenly red.
Did I say something wrong on my last visit?
She asked.
No,
He answered. He had a box of beautiful old things from China and India by his bed that day. They opened it and took them out, and Pollyanna played with them. And he and Pollyanna talked. They spoke of Nancy, Aunt Polly, and Pollyanna's home with her father and mother out west. When it was time for her to go, John Pendleton said quietly,
Pollyanna, when I learnt about your folks last time, I didn't want to see you again. You reminded me of someone once very important for me, from years ago, and I felt sad. I wanted to forget you. But I can't do without you. I know that now. So please come and see me often.
Of course,
said Pollyanna. After supper, Pollyanna told Nancy about her visit.
Lots of people don't like him, but he's very nice to me,
she said.
And it isn't always easy. When I took him the jelly on my last visit, and he heard about my folks, he didn't want to see me again.
Why's that?
Asked Nancy. And Pollyanna told Nancy about the someone very important for Mr. Pendleton from years ago.
That's it!
Cried Nancy.
Now I understand.
What?
Asked Pollyanna.
Mr. John Pendleton and Miss Polly Harrington were lovers all those years ago,
cried Nancy, and she told Pollyanna about old Tom's story.
But Mr. Pendleton doesn't like Aunt Polly,
said Pollyanna.
And she didn't want to send him the jelly.
That's because they quarreled,
said Nancy. On Pollyanna's next visit to John Pendleton's house, before she left, he again had a quiet talk with her.
I feel very alone in this big old house, Pollyanna. I need a woman's hand and heart, or a child's face, near me to feel at home here. Would you like to come and live with me? Maybe I can adopt you.
With Aunt Polly?
Asked Pollyanna.
Can she come too?
Aunt Polly?
Yes, because you loved her all those years ago.
Well, no, not with Aunt Polly,
he answered with a red face.
And please don't tell people about my plan for now. It's a secret. Do you understand?
The next time Dr. Chilton took Pollyanna to Mr. Pendleton's house, she said,
I'm going to tell you something, Dr. Chilton. It's a secret between Mr. Pendleton and me. But I can tell you, I think. It's only a secret from her.
Her?
Asked Dr. Chilton.
Aunt Polly,
said Pollyanna, and she told the doctor all about the old love between Mr. Pendleton and her aunt, and about Mr. Pendleton's plans to adopt her.
Right. I didn't know about that,
said the doctor, and he was quiet for a long time.
Maybe Mr. Pendleton wants to tell me more about it today,
said Pollyanna when they arrived.
Maybe,
said Dr. Chilton, and he smiled strangely and drove off in his buggy back to town. On that visit, Mr. Pendleton explained everything.
I didn't love Aunt Polly all those years ago,
he told Pollyanna.
I was in love with your mother before she married your father, but she didn't love me back.
Oh, I see,
cried Pollyanna.
When I met you, you reminded me of her. At first, I didn't want to see you again, but now I want to adopt you.
And what about Aunt Polly?
No, I want only you. So can you ask her about it?
All right.
After her visit, Pollyanna walked back home. It began to rain after she left Pendleton Woods, but soon she met Nancy in the street with an umbrella.
Miss Polly sent me to find you with this,
said Nancy.
She was really worried about you.
Was she?
Asked Pollyanna. She couldn't leave her aunt and live with Mr. Pendleton now. She knew that. Aunt Polly was worried about her and needed her. But Mr. Pendleton really needed a child near him, too, to make his big old house into a home. What could Pollyanna do to make the two of them happy? Suddenly, she smiled. She had the answer. Chapter 6. The Gladdest Things. On Pollyanna's next visit to John Pendleton's house, he asked,
Did you speak to your aunt? Can you live here?
No, I can't.
Did she say no?
I didn't ask her, but she needs me. And I have a different child for you to adopt, to make your house into a home. I'm really glad for him.
For who?
Jimmy Bean,
cried Pollyanna, and she explained about the poor orphan.
I had a letter from my church ladies out west last week,
she finished,
and nobody wanted him there. He was sad about that.
Pollyanna left with an invitation for Jimmy and her to visit Mr. Pendleton next Saturday. One Thursday afternoon, Mrs. Snow sent Pollyanna to Dr. Chilton's house for some medicine.
I never saw your home before,
she said.
They're only rooms,
he answered.
not really a home.
Do you need the hand and heart of a woman or the face of a child, too? Mr. Pendleton wanted those,
said Pollyanna.
Oh, and you remember when I told you about him and Aunt Polly? Did you tell any folks that story?
No.
Good, because Mr. Pendleton explained everything to me later. He loved my mother, not Aunt Polly. But now he's going to adopt Jimmy Bean, so maybe you can get the hand and heart of a woman or the face of a child to make your rooms into a home, Dr. Chilton.
Some women don't give hand and heart very easily,
he answered quickly and stood up.
Here's that medicine for Mrs. Snow,
he said. All of this, of course, was before the accident, and that changed everything. How did it happen? On the last day of October, Pollyanna left school. She didn't look to left and right when she walked across the road. Suddenly, a car hit her, and she fell to the ground unconscious. By 5 o'clock, she was back at home. But when would she open her eyes? Nancy sat by her bed, and Miss Polly telephoned her doctor at once. When Dr. Warren came, he looked at Pollyanna carefully.
Well, she didn't break an arm or a leg, but she hit her head badly,
he told Miss Polly.
And I'm worried.
Next morning, Pollyanna opened her eyes.
Where am I? What happened? Why can't I move my legs?
She cried. Miss Polly explained about the accident.
And now you must sleep,
she said. So Pollyanna slept for days, and many people from the town came and left flowers for her. When John Pendleton arrived soon after Pollyanna's accident, Nancy ran to tell old Tom.
Mr. Pendleton's here.
You don't say,
answered the old man.
Was he really Miss Polly's lover from long ago?
asked Nancy.
I believed that once, but now I'm not sure.
Don't be silly. He loved Miss Jenny, but she loved that young minister. When they married and left, Miss Polly felt sorry for John Pendleton and was nice to him. Maybe he understood something different, but for her they were only good friends. Then, in the town, people began to talk of love between them. After that, Miss Polly and John Pendleton quarreled, and he stopped coming here.
In the front room, Mr. Pendleton asked,
How is Pollyanna?
I don't know,
said Miss Polly coldly.
She can't move her legs, but she talks about when you broke your leg and were in bed for only weeks. She's glad because that's different from poor Mrs. Snow, in bed for years. It's very sad. She doesn't understand.
I wanted Pollyanna to live with me, you know,
he said.
With you?
said Miss Polly.
Yes, but she wanted to stay here because you needed her, she said.
Suddenly, tears came to Miss Polly's eyes. After some weeks, Dr. Warren called a specialist from New York. Dr. Meade came and looked at Pollyanna. When he left, he spoke quietly to Miss Polly by Pollyanna's door. Fluffy the cat was in Pollyanna's room at the time, and she wanted to go out. Just then, she pushed the door open. So Pollyanna heard everything.
Well, she's never going to walk again,
said Dr. Meade. Poor Pollyanna. When she was well, she taught the glad game to Mr. Pendleton, Mrs. Snow, Nancy, and lots of people in town. But now she could never leave her bed. It wasn't easy for her to find a thing to be glad about. Mr. John Pendleton called on Aunt Polly again when he heard the news.
Please tell Pollyanna something from me,
he said before he left.
Jimmy Bean came to see me, and he's going to be my little boy. I'm going to adopt him. Tell her that. Maybe she can feel glad about it.
Yes, Mr. Pendleton,
said Miss Polly in surprise. Pollyanna was, of course, very glad to hear the news. Back home, Mr. Pendleton and his friend Dr. Chilton sat in the front room and talked.
You remember your friend at the hospital, Tom?
Who? The specialist?
Yes, he helps lots of people to walk after accidents. Take Pollyanna to him. Maybe he can help her, too.
I can't, John. I must have a look at her before I can call my friend. But Dr. Warren is Miss Polly's doctor. I can't visit without an invitation from him. And after Miss Polly and I quarreled 15 years ago, when folks in town began to call the two of you lovers, she's never going to ask me. You know that. I'm never going to visit her house again without an invitation from her, and she's never going to change her heart and forgive me.
Please, Tom, Forget all that. Think of the girl.
I'm sorry, John, but without an invitation from Miss Polly, I can't visit Pollyanna.
Now all this time, the window in the room was open, and near the window, because it was Saturday morning, Jimmy Bean was at work in the garden. He heard everything and went at once to speak to Miss Polly. That afternoon, an invitation came for Dr. Chilton to visit Pollyanna.
Did you ask for me?
Dr. Chilton asked Miss Polly when he arrived.
I did,
said Miss Polly. Her face was suddenly very pink. She didn't see Tom Chilton smile happily behind her back when he went up to Pollyanna's room after her. When Dr. Chilton left, Miss Polly told Pollyanna,
Next week, you're going to a hospital. A friend of Dr. Chilton's is going to care for you there. Maybe he can help you. We're going to see. And thank you, Pollyanna, for bringing Dr. Chilton back to me. I'm very glad.
Oh, Aunt Polly, so you were his woman's hand and heart from long ago,
cried Pollyanna happily. Some months later, a letter arrived from Pollyanna. Mrs. Polly Chilton read it to her husband